let's talk about the 9 books I read in December. I felt like this year was kind of so-so, and then I found a bunch of favorites this month, so let's talk about them. I'm really excited. I started December by doing my Read It on Haul It challenge, so I'm picking random books that I own a physical copy of from the jar, so I didn't know what to expect, but I love this one. This is An Ember in the Ashes. This is a YA fantasy that had been on my shelf for years and years and years. And you know how it is. It just falls into the crack. You forget that you own it. And I had no expectations and I ended up really enjoying it. Is it a true YA book? Yes, it has like insta-love, it has 2 love triangles, which are usually things that annoy me, but I got really invested in the story and the story of the characters, and I wanted them to succeed. It's, again, very YA in the terms of like the classic tropes, but sometimes it just works. I mean, they tend to be really readable, which it was, and I do own already book 2, and I will be reading it next year, which was not expecting. Pleasantly surprised, and I'm actually planning on doing a series next year. A challenge, I should say, about series where I'm trying to continue to finish them, and last minute edition for sure, but that was fun. I'm giving it 5. 4.5, but you know, rounding it up, it deserves it. The second book I picked randomly from the jar was Mother Thing, and it is one of the weirdest books I have read. I feel like it gave me a little bit like Bunny vibes, but I didn't care for Bunny, and this one, I think I liked it. I think. I don't even know how to describe this. You have this couple that have to move back into her mother-in-law's house, and she passes away, she ends her life, and she's stuck cleaning it up, and everything goes wrong, and like, are they hunted or are they unwell? Both of them mentally. And it just gets worse and worse and worse, and it was something. I can't say I didn't like it, but I'm not sure I also really liked it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It was weird, but like, if you like these stories, this is going to be for you, but I don't regret reading it. It was interesting. Then I had basically my best reading vlog of the year. I finished 4 books, 3 4-star, 1 5-star. I was on a roll. So I did finish James, which is a retelling of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which is a classic that I have not read, probably will not read. It's about slavery, really. This time from the point of view of James, or Jim, the slave, and he learns that he will be sold, so he's going to be separated from his family, so he kind of escapes, and then Huck decides to follow him, and it's definitely different from the classic, but just from what I've heard, but I really enjoyed the modern touches actually that were included in this one. So I feel like I enjoyed this one more than I would have enjoyed the classic, and I enjoyed the author's writing. Some of you told me to try, I think, The Trees by him or something like that, and I would love to try more of his writing because I enjoyed it. And I'm usually not really into, like, I guess this is historical fiction-esque. It's not usually my main genre, but I did really like it because, again, the writing. So would highly recommend it. Again, outside my comfort zone, but 4-star anyway. The Wedding People. This was such a surprise for me. And when I saw it as the winner on the Goodreads Choice Award in the fiction category, it took me by surprise because there were some other, like, popular authors that were on there, and I hadn't heard of this one. And I read it, and I'm giving it 5-star. This is going to become so huge. I'm already telling you. I mean, I guess it's already popular, so it's already huge, but it's going to become way, way bigger. I think someone said that it was going to become a movie. Am I imagining things? I will watch it. It does handle some darker topics. I've been calling it like a deeper, darker chick lit kind of book, which kinda. So the main female character goes to this very fancy inn she's been dreaming of going to, and she's going there to end her life because she's struggling. You don't really know why at first, and turns out there's a wedding happening there, and the bride finds out because nobody else was supposed to be in the inn except her family or the people she invited. So she starts talking to her, and she finds out, and she's like, you're not about to ruin my week. So things happened, and I really enjoyed the banter and the way the author talked about these deeper, darker topics. But the main character is a university professor, and I feel like that plays in why I'm saying, yes, it's chick lit because it's very readable, but at the same time, it goes into more depth than the usual average one, and it worked. It just worked for me. The banter was great, and I highly recommend it. Like I said, this is the last book I added to my best books of the year, so fantastic. I will be recommending this a ton. So this was good. And I feel like for once I have something to recommend to people in real life because I feel like most people don't really read fantasy sci-fi. This is going to be an easy sell. So great. The God of the Woods also won, I think, the Goodreads Choice Award in the mystery thriller category, which I mean, it is kind of a mystery, but I feel like it's not really about getting answers. It's about the journey. I feel like the ending was okay, but like the journey, the writing was great. This is my third book by the author, and I feel like every single book I like her more and more. The story was interesting. You have this summer camp, and one morning the daughter of the owners is not in her bed. She disappeared and things happen. It does go back and forth between two timelines because it's not the first time it has happened. But I feel like more than like a murder mystery, it seems to be more about like family secrets or like small town secrets, and it's about the character-driven story. And like I said, I was really emotionally invested and interested, and I liked it quite a bit. But yeah, it's not about getting to the end to have the answers, it's just the writing. So I liked it. Good vibes. Would say this is a summer read though. Reading it in December, not a deal breaker, but if you're looking for the perfect summer read next year, if you can wait until then. I did listen to the audiobook When the World Tips Over by Jendy Nelson. Finally, we're getting more by her. I have read, or two of the books. Does she have more than that? I'll Give You the Sun was an all-time favorite for me 8 years ago when I read it. It was a coming of age YA standalone, like contemporary. And this is similar actually. It is contemporary, it is coming of age story. You have these three children. Their father went away and they're trying to find themselves. They're all struggling. And the writing is what is going to be a deal breaker for some people. It's very artistic. There's a lot of metaphor, but I feel like it always works for her character. She's always doing that, all three books. But I like the touch of like almost whimsical vibes, like almost magical realism, which I'm usually not a fan of, but it really works with her books. So as an audiobook, it was good. I would recommend it, and I'm going to give it a 4. What Feasts at Night is the second book in the series by T. Kingfisher. It's like horror retelling of Edgar Allan Poe stories, and I wasn't as emotionally invested in the story. I still love the writing and the humor of the author, so I'm going to continue trying more by her, but it wasn't my favorite. It was okay. It was okay. Kind of horror. Are people being haunted? Is it, you know, is it a ghost? Is it a something haunting them? I'm gonna keep it vague because it's like 200 pages, but it wasn't bad. I would say it's probably a 3-star for me. It was okay. I did also read some nonfiction. I usually try to not read more fiction after I've posted my best and worst books of the year, so I focused on some nonfiction, including Fiber Fueled, which I have had tummy issues. I've kind of talked about it, and I wanted to learn more about fiber. I've been going through this phase of like reading or watching documentaries about the gut microbiome, which I feel like a lot of people have. Maybe it's just my own bubble. And it was interesting. To be warned, the author is plant-based, which I'm not, so that plays into it. But he is a doctor. That's actually his specialty, so I feel like he's a bit more unbiased than other authors. I'm careful now when I read some nonfictions that it's not just a random person writing on a topic. So this was interesting. I would recommend it. He doesn't go too heavy-handed trying to promote his own lifestyle, so that was fine. And I just finished It's Not Hysteria. Everything you need to know about your reproductive health, but we're never told. So this book is also written by an author. That's her career. I've been burned before, clearly. But she talks about different topics that could affect you and how to approach your doctor. Like, it's very like focused on giving you answers. Like, she's obviously not going to diagnose you through the audiobook, you know, but she's going to help you get the answers and request a test and everything that you might be interested in. So not every single chapter were something I was personally looking for answer-wise, but it was still really interesting to learn more about it. I feel like one of the things that annoyed me personally was the fact that some doctors told me that like, oh, your uterus and like your bladder are not related, or like your digestive system, which is a lie. Which she says it's a lie. So take that, doctor. She's also very inclusive, so she uses inclusive language. She talks about it in the intro and obviously talks about it whenever it's relevant, so would recommend it. It was good. It was good. Would recommend. I forgot to mention that I was forced against my will to re-listen to the audiobook Atomic Habits. This is my 3rd time. The first 2 times I loved it, 5-star, recommended it a ton. I thought it was very easy to follow and a good summary of a lot of information I had already heard, but I thought it was really easy to implement the tips that the author gave. And this time, I don't know if it's a different version for the audiobook, but it was the Spotify version, and frankly I hated every second of it. The voice was super robotic, so I don't know what is wrong with me or if it's the audiobook. Again, hopefully it's a different version, but I couldn't stand it and I thought it was very obvious tips, so I don't even know if I want to recommend this book anymore. I'm extremely confused, and this is why you should never lose at rock, paper, scissors to choose what you're listening to in a car during the holidays for a trip. So I don't know. Lots of videos announcing challenges, like the series one, the nonfiction one. We'll see what else is coming up, but I'm really excited for 2025. I feel like we ended the year on a really good note with like so many favorites. If I were to force you to read anything in this video, I would recommend Wedding People or God Out of the Woods, I would say. I mean, any of the ones that sounded interesting, I would recommend them. But yeah, I had a really good month, which is kind of surprising. I feel like all year was up and down, but we finished on a good note. So 2025. You know what? I'm going to put on the screen that reading vlog where everything went perfectly well. I had some thoughts about some of the books that I have some quotes to talk about. And also I just posted a video about all the books that I did not finish in 2024 that we can kind of see what's going on pattern wise. I'm learning, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.